Yeah, that's actually part of this program nationally was, unfortunately, no. And that's part of the issue because the military is so siloed from civilian work. And in the military, and I'm not a veteran, and so this past 2 years has been an incredible learning experience for me. I mean, incredible. And so the things I'm sharing with you are things that I have learned through this process. When I learned what medics and corpsmen do in the military, I said, well, what do nurses do then? Nurses are officers. So when they are commissioned, they are commissioned in the military, and they are officers. So it is the medic and the corpsmen that are doing a lot of the nursing work. Unfortunately, they're not credentialed then when they come into civilian life to be able to do that. That was part of this program. HRSA was given the money to learn. We were asked and tasked to learn how we might be able to do better at this. So we're really just beginning this, and I really feel strongly that if nothing else, we'll continue to look at what can we change in policies to help specifically medics and corpsmen, not only just veterans, but medics and corpsmen as well, to bring together better that experience and that education from the military and civilian life. And now that they're in San Antonio, Texas, I think that's going to be easier to do. Does, because you have to be licensed to be a nurse. The difference is the role is different because you're an officer as a nurse. So if you are a registered nurse and you have a license in any of the states or territories of the United States, you are commissioned into the military as an officer, and your role is as a nurse. Corpsmen and medics are corpsmen and medics, but if you compare the work that is done by those individuals in the military to the civilian work, it is the corpsmen and medic who are doing much of the nursing work. That's the biggest challenge that we've faced with, specifically with corpsmen and medics. They are trained as first responders. If they are in the field as corpsmen and medics, they are trained as first responders. So they're not necessarily trained as nurses. One of the first cohort graduate from our second degree program, he had finished his first of 3 semesters of that accelerated program, and I asked him in a panel discussion pretty much the same question. And I said to him, if we would have given you credit for certain courses in the first semester, do you believe you would have been successful? And his answer was no. And he said, because we do not get the nursing education portion, we are trained as medics, pretty much paramedics, and first responders. And the example he gave was powerful because it sounds so simple, but it was huge for him. He said, in other words, if I were in the field and I needed to take somebody's blood pressure and they were obese, I would try to, whatever blood pressure I had, I'd have to make it work. I wouldn't have even thought that perhaps there is an obese blood pressure cuff or a larger blood pressure cuff that can be used. The idea of understanding that and what that means in it with an accurate blood pressure. And so it's much more complex and much more entailed. What are my resources and how can I use them? And he said that's a great example of how that I would have missed that had I not had the course. Yes, and their experience is different because they're veterans, not because of the School of Nursing. They tend to be, they're older, some significantly older. They have, because of their experience, a completely different worldview and perspective. And and we've heard this from both nursing students and non-nursing students veteran students across the campus. So while the traditional undergraduate student is worrying about what they're having for dinner tonight, where they're going to go and what they're going to wear, the veteran is saying, that is not a priority for me. I'm more concerned about what I need to bring to class tomorrow and what I need to do to be prepared for class tomorrow. That's the positive pieces that they bring, and they role model then for the students, and the students know this, and so there's a back and forth contribution to that as well.